Hey YouTube, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. This is the licensed Toyota Land Cruiser 80 or Toyota LC80 in 1-18 from FMS eShine RocHobby, and this model is not new. It has already been released in March this year, but recently Horizon Hobby took the distribution of this model in the US, and here in German-speaking Europe FMS is distributed by D-Power, and in the last weeks a ton of YouTube videos about this LC80 popped up on YouTube. Seems mainly Horizon had sent it for free to a ton of their YouTube promoters, but unfortunately many of those reviews seem not to have a big knowledge about those microcrawlers, and so a lot of questions are still open. Mainly the question about what is the difference between this Land Cruiser 80 and the other two 1-18 Land Cruiser 80s from RocHobby and EazyRC, so the Katana and the Patriot, formerly known as Patreon, which are also distributed by FMS. And in this short video I will answer your questions. What are the differences and what are the equalities between the FMS LC80, the RocHobby Katana, and here in parts the EazyRC Patriot? In short, the Land Cruiser 80 is a RocHobby Katana with Toyota logo, and EazyRC Patreon chassis, axles and shocks, but with metal frame rails and metal gears in the axles. Or it's an EazyRC Patriot with metal frame rails and metal axle gears and with RocHobby Katana electronics. I will not go in detail with this LC80 from FMS. I even didn't want to make a special video about it. I did already super detailed videos mainly about the Katana, but also about the Patreon and Patriot, and also about the very similar Jeep here up, the EazyRC Arizona. Disassembling, deep looks inside, modding, changing ESCs, oil shock mod, and so on. So I will link those videos in the description if you're interested in detail, and please watch those videos. It's no sense making a 1-hour video here again about this FMS LC80. First of all, the FMS LC80 comes with a licensed Toyota body. So it's also written on the description. It has Toyota logos here in front and here on the rear side. But beside this, bodies and interiors of the FMS LC80 and the RocHobby Katana and the EazyRC Patriot are absolutely identical. So this is the awesome body that's from the EazyRC Patreon, the absolutely awesome interior. What do I have here? I do have my Patreon in parts, dashboard, but also bumpers and roof rack and lights. Only the color is the difference. So the LC80 by FMS comes in silver, the RocHobby Katana comes in this red, and the EazyRC Patriot or Patreon normally in white with a sticker which can easily be removed. I did already paint it long before the LC80 was released, nearly the same color. Still didn't finish this build, but that's why it's easier for me now to show you all the parts. So absolutely no differences in bodies, but color and the Toyota logos. And all do come with exactly the same super nice wheels, nice plastic beadlock rims, no foams. They can easily be tuned with weights and foams. But the FMS Land Cruiser does come with the same shocks as the EazyRC models. So those are those shocks, while the RocHobby Katana does only come with those very poor Hobby Plus shocks which can hardly be tuned, and those shocks can be tuned out of the box. The performance of the EazyRC Patriot and the LC80 shocks is not a big difference to the shocks of the RocHobby Katana, but you can make an oil-filled shock mod, and I made a special video about this. And after this mod, the shocks of the EazyRC Patriot and also of the 1/18th FMS licensed Toyota Land Cruiser work awesome, and I show you this now. Check this out. These are the stock shocks, the good ones, and here I do have my Arizona EazyRC, nearly the same chassis, a little bit longer, and this does already have an oil-filled shock mode and also super heavy wheels, 40 gram per wheel with hard foams inside, what makes a huge improvement. And check this out, how awesome these shocks work after the oil-filled shock mode compared to the absolutely the same shocks in stock form. Highly recommended. Besides shocks, differences are in electronics, in chassis and in packing. All those three models come in top packing, so super secure, Banggood proof. The EazyRC Patriot comes in a large, sturdy card box, and inside this pretty colorful box, as you can see here, it's still named Patriot. When I bought it, it was released as EazyRC Patriot, and later they changed the name to Patriot. And the LC80, FMS LC80 and the Katana come even better packed. They come in a sturdy card box like this, FMS and eShine on the box of the licensed and RocHobby on the box of the Katana. And inside comes this beautiful, colorful cardboard box or sleeve. And inside there is this absolutely awesome foam case where the trucks are absolutely awesomely packed. And check this out, I hope you can see, that's the foam box of the FMS LC80, and it's also labeled with RocHobby on the foam box. But the FMS LC80 and the RocHobby Katana do come with better electronics than the EazyRC models. With this small turbo racing radios, by the way, that's from the FMS LC80 and it's labeled RocHobby again. And this kind of waterproof receiver ESC unit and a separate light controller unit. In those you can switch on off by channel 3 lights. But both the Katana and the LC80 unfortunately do not have brake lights. And the LC80 does have the front turning lights, as you can see here on the outer position, not as in the Katana where they were in the inner position. Very strange, but it was easy to be changed. And the FMS LC80 Land Cruiser does have the same noisy ESC unit as the Katana. You can hear it here. But overall running noise seems to be a little less than in the Katana. Similar to the Patriot or Patriot, this one, which seems also to run a tiny little bit more silent than the Katana. And the radios of the Katana and of the LC80 do work with those small, cheap, water-resistant turbo racing 4-channel receivers, what makes it easier to upgrade those models with better ESC if you want, and if you do not wanna have to buy a new radio system, only a new receiver if you want so. And the EazyRC Patriot does come with a cheaper, much cheaper and much more toyish radio, this radio. In white, the Arizona comes with a yellow one. You cannot switch on or off lights with this radio, and turning lights are in correct position as in the LC80. So in the Patriot, the turning lights are on the outer positions, but lights are only on in the Patriot and in the Arizona while driving forwards. Front lights are on, while driving backwards rear lights are on, and lights are off when the car stands still, what means the LEDs are simply connected in parallel to channel 2 throttle, not a real light controller. And in all those models, in all three, unfortunately you cannot switch off turning lights, so they will always blink when you turn the steering wheel and go through the field. And the FMS LC80 and the EazyRC Patriot do only come with a tiny 380 milliamp hours 2S LiPo, while the RocHobby Katana, as the Atlas 6x6 and the CR18s does come with a 600 milliamp hours 2S LiPo. And now let's check the chassis of the FMS LC80, the Land Cruiser 80. In contrary to the EazyRC Patriot, it does come with exactly the same chassis as the EazyRC Patriot, but there's one big difference. The LC80 FMS does come with metal frame rails, while the EazyRC Patriot does have plastic frame rails. And unfortunately, it does come with the same axles as the EazyRC Patriot and also the EazyRC Arizona Jeep, those axles. And unfortunately, those do have much larger pumpkins and C-hubs than the axles of the RocHobby Katana, which comes with Hobby Plus CR18 axles and gearbox. So you see, the Katana axles do look much better in my opinion, much more scale, much smaller, while the EazyRC and the FMS LC80 axles are really large. However, the LC80 and the EazyRC models, they do come with universal steering, what's really awesome. While the Katana, as all Hobby Plus CR18 models, does only come with dogbone style steering. You can see a peek here. And all of those models do come with brass bushings, no ball bearings, bushings all around. Only in the C-hubs of the FMS LC80 and the EazyRC models, there is one large bearing on each side. So one ball bearing here and here, everything else is bushing, brass bushing. And now some advantage of the FMS LC80. The Land Cruiser 80 does come with metal gears in the axles. Both bevel gears are metal, as you can see here on the pictures. But central transmission, all gears are plastic here. So only axles, absolutely awesome. Metal gears, plastic gears in the EazyRC models and in the RocHobby Katana. And all gears in the LC80 are really nicely and well lubricated. Metal axle gear is the big difference to the Patriot and the Katana and all other Hobby Plus models. The diameter of the shaft of the small LC80 and EazyRC bevel gear here is much larger than the diameter of the shaft of the bevel gear of the Hobby Plus and the RocHobby Katana. So drive shafts are not compatible. You cannot use a drive shaft of the LC80 for the Katana or a drive shaft of the EazyRC Patriot or Patriot for the Katana. Atlas 6x6 Hobby Plus models do all have the same stuff as the RocHobby Katana. Also central transmission in the LC80 by FMS and the same in the EazyRC Patriot and the Arizona is very different to the central transmission of the Katana and the Atlas 6x6 and the CR18 models. All models do come with the same sized motor, this barrage size motor, so this will be probably interchangeable, but everything else, the FMS LC80, the licensed one, and the EazyRC Patriot, and also the Arizona, which has a little bit longer chassis, those parts are interchangeable, but not at all interchangeable with the CR18 models and the Katana. And finally, to the prices of the FMS LC80, the RocHobby Katana and the EazyRC Patriot. The Katana is in China, Banggood, AliExpress, mostly about 150 to 160 US dollar. In our local shops here in Austria or Central Europe, it is 199 euros, what's about 230 to 240 US dollar. The Toyota FMS licensed LC80 is about the same price in China as the Katana. In US shops, it's distributed by RocHobby. It's sold for 189.99 US dollar, and here in my country and also in Germany, the price is 199 euros, what's about 230 to 240 US dollar. The EazyRC Patriot or Patriot and also the Arizona, they are way cheaper. And most surprisingly, it's also way cheaper here in my country at local hobby shops, although it's distributed by the same importer, D-Power. In China, but also in the European warehouses of China dealers such as Banggood, you can get the Patreon sometimes on promotion for only about 100 US dollars, so about 90 euros. Mostly it's about 100 to 120. And now to the surprise, the official price of the EazyRC Patriot in our local hobby shops here is only 109 euro and 90 cents. So wow, that's really a good price. The difference to the price of the China shops is tiny in this and much larger in the Katana and in the licensed Toyota. So best value for the money of those three Land Cruiser 80s, for sure, probably the EazyRC Patriot. If you want to change radio and electronics in your 1 to 18th Land Cruiser anyway, probably the Patriot is the way to go. But the FMS LC80 does also have a much better value than the Katana, because it comes with metal gears in the axles and with Toyota logo. However, the smaller axles and pumpkins and C-hubs in the Katana do look way more scale, at least in my opinion. So guys, it's difficult which one to buy, but I hope this video clarifies all differences and questions to the licensed FMS Toyota Land Cruiser 80, which does come with FMS logo and eShine logo on the box, and with RocHobby logo on the styrofoam box and on the radio. And it clarifies its differences to the other models, and it helps you to decide which model is the right one for you. And for more details to body, mods, upgrades of all those models, see the video links in the description. I did a ton of videos already about the Katana and the Patriot and the Arizona. That's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope to see you in the next video. I'll be back.